Cybercriminals already know your assumptions around disaster recovery. Sure, most companies have a business continuity plan. It's a binder on a shelf, a document in a shared drive, or a slide deck presented once a year. It checks a compliance box, satisfies regulators, and annually reassures the board. But when a real crisis hits, that plan often falls apart. Not because it was poorly written, but because it was never truly pressure tested. One executive stated after a devastating and very public ransomware incident that every assumption that their recovery plan had going into the incident turned out to be untrue. Cybercriminals know from experience that if they can just get into your infrastructure, they'll be able to pressure test your organization's response and recovery plan themselves and flesh out any untrue assumptions to their financial benefit. It isn't enough to pass your own tests. Will your organization pass theirs? The truth is, most organizations don't practice for disasters in a way that reflects reality. They run executive tabletop exercises that are scripted, dated, and predictable, with little integration of the latest adversary tactics. The scenarios don't test the impact that, say, loss of privileged credentials would have on the ability of the executive team to collaborate. Never mind that the adversary would be able to delete or re-encrypt even supposedly immutable backups. They assume key executives will be available, communication lines will be open, and decisions will be made efficiently. But in an actual cyber crisis, nothing happens that smoothly. Leadership is scattered, IT admin tools get compromised that touch every system, information is incomplete, and the pressure to act fast collides with fear of making the wrong decision. And here's where the real breakdown happens. The system capabilities that executives and response teams believe will function in a crisis won't work the way they've always thought they would. Heck, most systems barely work as designed in day-to-day operations. Roles are unclear. Authority is debated, controls are inconsistent, and the organization's preferred collaboration and decision-making platforms may be compromised. Leaders assume they'll have perfect visibility when in reality, they'll be operating in a fog of uncertainty. They're used to making data-driven decisions with full context during a normal workday, but in a real incident, there is no full context. It may be 2 a.m. and there's only conflicting reports, open questions, unreachable decision makers and technical experts, a concerned board, and a ticking clock. Most executives assume decision-making in a crisis will work like any other high-pressure business decision: gather input, weigh the risks, align on a plan, and then execute that plan. But in the heat of a cybersecurity event, there's no time for lengthy discussions. The leaders that are available must make judgment calls based on that incomplete and sometimes unreliable data, knowing those decisions will have immediate, far-reaching, and potentially material consequences. The reality isn't just uncomfortable, it fundamentally challenges the way leadership is used to operating. Security and resilience leaders play a role in these failures too. Their plans often set unrealistic expectations around worst-case scenarios and the ability to recover from them. Many design exercises that only validate existing assumptions instead of stress testing them. They don't simulate real-world chaos, delays, or conflicting intelligence. Recovery expectations assume that teams won't sleep, and third-party vendors will respond quickly at all hours. They don't force executives to work with intentionally missing or misleading information that is part of the adversary's plan. And as a result, when a real crisis happens, the first thing leadership realizes is that the plan and process they trusted doesn't actually work. If the board wants real resilience, they need to learn about the worst incidents and ask tougher questions. When was the last time we ran a crisis simulation where executives were forced to make decisions with incomplete information and choices with no good potential outcomes? What assumptions about authority, systems availability, third-party response agreements, and response coordination have we actually tested under pressure? For instance, if our email and collaboration systems went down right now, how does our response plan align with how decision-making would actually happen in that situation? Your untested plan isn't a plan. It's a gift to attackers who can make their own assumptions as to how your plan will fall apart based on dozens, hundreds, or thousands of previous attacks. Pressure testing disaster recovery means asking a lot of hard questions that identify and challenge often hidden assumptions. If your organization can't do this, you need someone with real experience. Governisto has leveraged deep executive disaster recovery experience from real-world incidents into a workshop package able to be delivered on-site or remotely that truly pressure tests your IT disaster recovery plan, identifies potentially damaging assumptions, correctly sets executive expectations, and helps the org restore confidence in its ability to quickly recover from even the most disruptive incidents. You can send an email to contact us at governisto.com or visit our website at governisto.com.